Good morning. This is Father Matthew Hardesty from Holy Trinity in Fredericktown and Holy Rosary in Manton. Today is Sunday, October 27th, 2013, and it is the 30th Sunday in the season of Ordinary Time. Just a brief run through of what's happening at our parishes. This Wednesday, while the children are in religious ed from 6:15 to 7:15 p.m., I'll be meeting with their parents and all others who are interested to watch this DVD series called Catholicism by Father Robert Barron. Very well produced, does a great job of teaching the faith. You're all invited to that. This coming Tuesday is a lector training that I'll be having just to brush up on tips to prepare and how to perform that ministry. Friday is a holy day of obligation. It's All Saints' Day. The Mass schedule will be Thursday evening at Holy Trinity at 7 p.m., and then on Friday, the Holy Day, Mass will be at 10 a.m. at Holy Trinity and 7 p.m. at Holy Rosary. Saturday is All Souls' Day. That's not a holy day of obligation, but it's still a very important Mass to offer indulgences for our deceased loved ones and the souls in purgatory. Masses on Saturday will be 10 a.m. at the Holy Trinity Cemetery, 2 p.m. at the Holy Rosary Church, and 5 p.m. at Holy Trinity will be the usual Saturday evening Mass for Sunday. What follows will be my homily for this weekend. I hope that's helpful for you. The readings are the first reading from the book of the prophet Sirach, chapter 35, verses 12 through 18. The responsorial psalm is Psalm 34. The Lord hears the cry of the poor. The second reading is from the second letter of St. Timothy, chapter 4, verses 6 through 18. And the Gospel is from St. Luke, chapter 18, verses 9 through 14. If we can do anything to help you at Holy Trinity or Holy Rosary, please let us know. The phone number is 859-284-5242. Again, that's 859-284-5242. Or you can see us on Facebook at facebook.com/Holy Trinity Fredericktown or facebook.com/Holy Rosary Manton. God bless you. I have to say that at this point in my life, I am happier than I have ever been. I really mean that. I am a happy man. And that's an awesome thing to say, because I haven't always been able to say that. In seminary, I vividly remember wondering, when will I be ordained? How long is this going to take? Will I be able to cut it as a priest? Can I even make it through seminary? When I was a deacon at St. Gabriel and when I was an associate pastor at St. James in Elizabethtown, I wondered, can I do all that a pastor has to do? Will I be a good shepherd? Over the 4 months that I've been here at Holy Trinity and Holy Rosary, I have found great fulfillment in being the shepherd of this flock. My heart and soul are invested more than they've ever been. I live and breathe these parishes and can truly say that I am happier than I've ever been. There have been some challenging moments. Change is hard for everyone, for you and for me. For you, I imagine it's like receiving a whole new father. Father Chris Allegra was with you for 16 good years and was well loved. He has definitely left some big shoes for me to fill. For me, it's a little bit like leaving home, graduating from college, beginning a new career, getting married, and starting a family all at the same time. One of the most difficult things, though, has been bumping up against the gossip that sometimes characterizes small parishes and small towns. It's really a problem in all parishes, big and small. Now, I don't mean to say that everyone here is gossipy. That's not true. But you and I know that it doesn't take many people to stir things up. Gossip really does sap the life and energy out of a parish and its initiatives. Now, I'm part of the parish, too. If this parish is gossipy, then that includes me, too. I'm also guilty of venting at times to the first person who will listen without taking time to pray about it or to fully understand the situation. If we want to break the mold of what a small town parish is like, if we want to prove to God and our neighbors that we don't have to be gossipy parishes, then the change must start with me. With the theme of this weekend's readings focusing on humility and prayer, we have the perfect occasion to recall the Church's teaching on this subject to help us to break out of this mold. Last Monday at RCIA, when we studied the last 7 of the 10 Commandments, we looked at how the Catechism of the Catholic Church expands on the 8th commandment, "You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor." This is the commandment that the Pharisee broke in the Gospel reading today. Here's what the Catechism says about this in paragraphs 2477 to 2481. Respect for the reputation of persons forbids every attitude and word likely to cause them unjust injury. It then goes on to list some examples of sins against the 8th commandment. One is rash judgment, which is when someone even tacitly assumes as true, without sufficient foundation, the moral fault of another. The Pharisee in the Gospel today definitely committed this sin. His prayer, full of pride, was not even a prayer to God. The Gospel said he stood and prayed thus with himself. The whole time he simply rattled off his accomplishments in order to somehow impress God. Full of himself, he saw no need for God's grace or mercy. He boasted that he was not like the rest of sinful humanity. Even like this tax collector, he smirked. On what grounds was he able to conclude that this tax collector was a sinner? Simply because he was a tax collector? This particular tax collector could have been St. Matthew for all we know. What we do know is that because he was so quick to judge his neighbor, his prayer bore no fruit for him. Everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, Jesus said. It's only when we humble ourselves that Jesus is able to lift us up. It's only when we acknowledge that we are in need of His mercy that Jesus is able to give us His mercy. It is the prayer of the lowly that pierces the clouds, said the prophet Sirach in the first reading. Another sin against the 8th commandment is called detraction. This is when someone, without objectively valid reason, discloses another's faults and failings to persons who did not know them. This one is particularly tempting because of our desire to want to be included and favored. When you or I see a group of folks that we relate to, that we're friends with, that we want to impress, the latest nugget of gossip turns their eyes toward us, and we have their attention. We think, they're listening to me. They want to hear what I have to say. They want me to be a part of their group. This sin plays on all of our insecurities. I know what so-and-so did, and they don't. Wait till I tell the guys this one. They'll really approve of me then, and we'll be able to say to ourselves, God, I thank you that I am not like the other man, or even like this guy. The devil loves this one because he loves for us to compare ourselves to anyone other than Jesus. Simply saying, at least I'm not as bad as he is over there, keeps us stuck where we are. But saying, God be merciful to me, a sinner, make me holy as Jesus is holy, is a statement that moves us forward and up to Him. Jesus is our audience. He is the only one we have to impress. Otherwise, we thwart our spiritual progress for what? A few moments of recognition from friends who like us anyway? And meanwhile, a man's reputation is ruined, his name dragged through the mud, and our hearts are turned against him. Another sin against the 8th commandment is called calumny, and this is when someone, by remarks contrary to the truth, harms the reputation of others and gives occasion for false judgments concerning them. This one comes about largely from a certain disruption that happens that then leads to misunderstanding. So what begins as an innocent question, well, that's different. Why did Father Hardesty do that? Then turns into, well, he must not like us. He must not want to spend time with us. He must want to inconvenience us. He's keeping us here for a full hour on purpose. He wants to make us miserable. What are we going to do? Well, there's no use. I'm just going to go to a different parish. And all of this happens without the person giving me one chance to explain. One of the best things that you and I could do to avoid committing this sin of calumny is to simply approach each other directly and kindly. Let's help each other with this one. If I do something or decide something that you disagree with or are uncertain about, come to me and ask me directly about it. My role as a spiritual father is to listen to the needs of his sons and daughters and to be eager to respond to them. And you, as spiritual sons and daughters, should feel free to voice these needs to me. For my part, I will take more time to learn and understand different practices or features of this parish before I make a faulty conclusion about them. Lastly, the Catechism goes on to quote St. Ignatius of Loyola, who says that to avoid rash judgment, everyone should be careful to interpret insofar as possible his neighbor's thoughts, words, and deeds in a favorable way. Every good Christian ought to be more ready to give favorable interpretation to another's statement than to condemn it. But if he cannot do so, let him ask how the other understands it, and if the latter understands it badly, let the former correct him with love. If that does not suffice, let the Christian try all suitable ways to bring the other to a correct interpretation so that he may be saved. You and I together need to give each other the benefit of the doubt, rather than being quick to condemn. Rash judgment, detraction, and calumny destroy the reputation and honor of one's neighbor. Whenever we sin against the 8th commandment, we have a duty that obliges in conscience to repair the wrong, publicly or privately, insofar as possible. This humble making of amends, along with frequent, at least monthly confession, can help us break out of this cycle and give us the grace and strength to continually put on the new man, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. By putting away falsehood, we will be able to put away all malice, all guile, all insincerity, all envy, and all slander.